I'm at the place where I can do my close off the thumb, and I've at the point where I am going to work up to this point, put these stitches on waste yarn, and then I'm going to do something else that we'll talk about in a second. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the same on this side for the stitches for my thumb. And before my thumb on this needle, if you remember, I had 11 stitches on each needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The 11th stitch is down here. So I'm going to need to get that stitch back for the hand of the mitten because I'm all about symmetry and my stitch counts wouldn't work out. So I'm going to work to my marker, take my marker off, and I'm going to put those 14 stitches on some waste yarn. And I've just threaded up a tapestry needle with some fattish yarn. You want to use yarn that is not terribly thin because these stitches are going to get very small as you're working, and this is way too much yarn. I definitely did not need to have it be this long. And why am I doing that? I've got a cold and it makes me stupid, so and I'm demonstrating that. And get these 14 stitches all on the waste yarn, and I'm ready to go. Get rid of that marker. George, stop making that noise. Okay. Now, as I said, I need to get back those 2 stitches that were in the center of my thumb gusset. And generally most patterns are going to tell you, and my pattern is going to tell you the same thing, to cast on 2 stitches. But if you've ever done this before, you'll know that when you cast on that stitch, those 2 stitches, that is an enormous amount of yarn when you go to work those on the next row. And so what I've learned to do is to just put 1 less than the pattern specifies, and then I'll just make 2 stitches out of those when I get there. So I've got my stitch here, and I'm going to work around to the complete the stitches on this round, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. Now in the pattern it says to pick up 2 stitches, and if you want to do that, that's just hunky-dory. There's a designer note that tells you if you want to do this, you can. And basically when I get to that point, what I'm going to do is just like working an M1, a twisted M1. I'm just going to get some of that excess yarn and make it into a stitch. And after that point, I just work the body of the hand until it's time to shape the top. And I'm not going to do a video about shaping the top. It's really kind of obvious in this particular pattern. But I will get the one where the top has been finished and show you what it looks like. So I'm working. And I'm almost to the point. Now once I have the mittens finished, I'm going to block them, and then I'm going to position the buttons on them. And the buttons are just strictly decorative. But I'm not going to do videos for that either. It's pretty self-explanatory, and if you look at the photograph of the mittens and the hat in the photograph, you'll be able to see how it's done, and the pattern explains it. Alright, I'm almost to that point. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11. Okay, and notice all of that yarn I have, and that's why really it's almost like, why do I even bother doing a cast on? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of twist this guy around here, and I'm just going to knit it. And am I worried about which direction that twist is slanting? No, because I'm going to be picking up stitches for the thumb in that, so I don't really care. And then I'll have 11 stitches on all my needles, and the world is bright and good again. Let me just get to the end of this one. Now when I pick up stitches for the thumb, and I'm probably not going to do a video for this, I will pick up stitches there and these stitches, and the thing to keep in mind about a thumb gusset, it is never very attractive. I'll show you on the one that's done. There are holes there from where I've picked it up. And I just picked up stitches in the two that I just cast on, and then the stitches on the needle. Now, you will have a long piece of waste yarn from where you join to pick up the stitches for the thumb. Use that to kind of improve the appearance of the thumb, and I probably will do a video on that one because that can be tricky and people get panicked about it. Now, for this particular mitten, I worked from here to here, and it was about 30 rows. This is where you can change or alter the pattern. If you have, I have long hands, so when I do a mitten pattern, I always tend to make this part fairly long because I never can find a mitten that fits me well. When I'm ready to shape, when I'm about 1.5 inches from the top, I have my stitches. I have 11 stitches on each needle. I have 44. That means that I work 9 stitches, knit 2 together, work 9 stitches, knit 2 together, and continue that. And again, this hasn't been woven in, so it isn't that attractive yet, but it'll all be fixed up quite nicely when it's done. Then you pick up stitches for the thumb, knit. There's a total of 16 stitches on there, and then you just knit 2 together, knit 2 together, knit 2 together until you've got 4 stitches left. And that is what the mitten looks like.